I was raised in a Christian home. God is real, and I was instilled with this belief from a very young age. I remember sitting in the church pews as a child and feeling the warmth and holiness of God. At that time, even though I was very young, I believed that I was created by God Himself. As I grew older, I began to study and understand the teachings of Christianity more deeply. However, I went through some tough times in my life. I am a homosexual. This matter has always been a point of contention with my family. This revelation was not an instantaneous event, but rather a gradual clarification. During my teenage years, I began to become very confused. I realized that I had developed special feelings for the same sex, which made me feel very conflicted and anxious. Being in a Christian home, I knew that this contradicted the traditional views of the church and family. My heart was full of struggles and contradictions. I had tried to suppress my feelings. But gradually, I realized that I could not deny what I really felt inside. I found courage within myself and began to accept that I was gay and that it was not something I could choose or change. When I decided to share my true orientation with my family, we had a heated argument. My family had a hard time accepting this fact, which made our relationship even more complicated. I strongly believe that God is a symbol of love and acceptance. I believe that God will always be by my side and guide me to a bright future. In 2011, my life went through a huge change when my lover passed away from cancer. I was by his side all that time, and it was an extremely painful time for me. His departure was a heavy blow to me, and it was as if I was plunged into endless darkness. Whenever I think back to the good times we had together, I can't stop the tears from flowing down my face. After losing him, I was filled with uncertainty about the future. I didn't know how life would go on. I felt lonely and helpless. Darkness enveloped my mind. And I fell into deep grief. One day, I suddenly felt tightness in my chest. I had always had high blood pressure, but this time the symptoms made me feel very serious. I was rushed to the hospital. When I arrived at the hospital, the doctors and nurses immediately started emergency treatment. I felt very weak and could hardly breathe. The doctors performed CPR on me and used a pacemaker to stimulate my heart. This process lasted for half an hour. When I woke up in the hospital bed, I felt very weak and my throat was very sore. I asked the nurse why my throat hurt so much. She told me that it was because they used a ventilator during the treatment. I told the nurse that I was dead and that I had gone to another place where I had met my deceased relatives. Her expression became very surprised, and this statement made her eyes widen even more. Then I went on to explain that I remembered everything and that it was all wonderful. This time, with a curious tone, she said, "Tell me what it was like." I described my experience to her in detail. I told her that the operating room floor was white and blue tile. She also knew that the patients were unconscious when they entered the operating room. I explained that I had seen it all from another perspective, which shocked her even more. I had a very special experience when my heart stopped beating. I clearly remember that it was as if my consciousness left my body and transcended the physical. I could sense the emotions of others in the room. I could feel the anesthesiologist's heartbeat and detect his nervousness. He was supposed to be a trainee doctor, and this could be clearly felt in his emotions. It was a very peculiar experience. Then, I suddenly had a strong desire to go to another place and look for my deceased lover. I knew I was dead and I just wanted to see him again. This desire became so strong that it almost became my only thought. In that moment, I felt that my soul was no longer constrained by my body and was free to follow my heart's desire. Suddenly, I traveled to a completely different dimension, a place filled with love. My perceptions began to expand. Suddenly, I saw my lover. I knew this was the person I had been longing to see. Even though he no longer had a human body, I could clearly sense that this was him, that his presence was so real. He was now in the form of a white ball of energy, a form that didn't hinder the emotional connection between us. We moved closer to each other, we embraced, and that moment was filled with warmth and love. We then exchanged many topics, but now I cannot recall the content of those conversations. In that special moment, we spent a lot of time together, sharing our inner thoughts and emotions. A deep connection was established in our souls. In the process, in addition to my lover, I saw his mother. She had passed away many years ago. In real life, we did not have a good relationship. Although I always showed her great respect, she always harbored a resentment that I had made her son gay. She held a negative view of my relationship with her son, which caused some conflict. At one point, my lover and I decided to publicly announce our relationship. When we revealed our relationship to his family, his mother reacted very violently. She showed great displeasure and even blamed me for making her son gay. The incident led to a heated argument, with his mother insisting that it was an abnormal life choice. We tried to confirm that our feelings were real and that we supported and cared for each other, but her mother was not willing to accept this reality. This conflict exacerbated the tension between us. Now she showed up and welcomed me with open arms. My feelings became very complicated. Perhaps in this realm of transcendent reality she was able to see more of the facts and truths, and to understand that the feelings between her son and me were pure and deep. We somehow reconciled during this experience. She was very grateful that I was there for her son as he battled cancer. She expressed her gratitude that I was always there for her son. Finally, my lover whispered to me, "Your time is not up yet. You must go back and fulfill your mission." I longed to stay in this place of love forever, but I realized that I had an important mission waiting for me. We walked slowly to each other. No words could express the pain I felt inside. The white ball of energy gradually began to fade, like a star disappearing into the night sky. His words once again rang in my ears, "Your time is not up yet, you must return to complete your mission." After a while, a magical force began to bring me back to the real world. It was as if I was floating in the universe, feeling the flow of time and space. The process of returning to Earth was like awakening from a dream. I could feel my body, feel the breathing and heartbeat. I slowly regained my sense of reality and felt the weight of my body. I slowly opened my eyes and the scene around me became clearer. I found myself lying in a hospital bed, the room filled with a soft white light. Nurses were busy around me. I could feel the touch of the sheets. I realized that I was back in the world, back in my body. It was a marvelous experience that gave me a deeper understanding of death and filled me with more reverence for the preciousness of life. When I woke up, most of my memories had become blurred. However, I seemed to remember that I had a conversation with a strange man. He was wearing a clean white dress and possessed brown hair. He reassured me that anyone has the right to choose their own lifestyle. As long as your lifestyle doesn't harm others, it should be respected by others. Although I can't recall the full conversation, this statement struck me very deeply. I rarely talk about this experience with others because I understand that it can be a difficult experience for many people to understand. My family had no interest in it either, as it was in direct conflict with their beliefs. However, for me, this experience was a precious gift. I believe this experience was a gift from God. A special experience. Even though I did not see God with my own eyes, I could feel His presence. God loves each and every one of us, no differently because I am gay. This experience made me realize that God's love is unconditional and He accepts everyone. This experience also liberated my mind. I let go of those unnecessary mental burdens. This experience made me a stronger believer in God's existence and also a stronger acceptance of myself. It taught me to cherish every moment of my life, to feel God's love, and to pass that love on to others. It is a special gift, a true revelation that makes me feel a sense of inner peace and confidence.
This experience happened in 2015 when I was working at a nursing home. I worked the night shift most of the time. During the night, some of the elderly would wake up and need some help. Sometimes it was a warm cup of tea, sometimes a short chat. There was one elderly person who would meditate in front of the window every night, and I knew she was thinking of her late husband. I often accompanied her. Although I did not have many words to say, my company was meaningful. There was a time when my mental state was very poor. At the same time, I was surprised to find that my menstrual cycles became unusually frequent, occurring almost twice a month. Although I was confused by these changes, I didn't pay much attention to them. I thought it was because I was working night shifts. After a couple of months, I wasn't getting any better. To find out what was happening, I decided to go to the hospital for a detailed examination. The doctor told me that my blood cell count was dropping drastically. This came as quite a shock to the doctor. This condition usually requires dialysis treatment, and I was actually able to hold down a job. The doctor told me another shocking news: I had a severe uterine fibroid tumor. This news completely turned my world upside down. The doctor told me that immediate action was necessary. If left untreated, the consequences would be very serious. My doctors recommended that I have a hysterectomy as soon as possible, and I decided to follow their advice. The decision wasn't easy, but I understood it was to protect my health and my life. Every few days I traveled to the hospital for blood transfusions. This was to try and get back to a normal blood cell count before the surgery. After the surgery, I put in a considerable amount of time to recover my body. I worked out every day, and I gradually felt my body getting stronger every day. The process was grueling, but I firmly believe it was worth it because I could feel myself gradually regaining my health. During the time I had the surgery, I missed my daughter's wedding ceremony. This made me feel very sorry. In the 4th month after the operation, I thought I had passed the most difficult time, but fate dealt me another heavy blow. One day, I was suddenly rushed to the hospital and my wound turned out to be seriously infected. I felt intense pain as if my body was engulfed in flames. This is perhaps what pain feels like in the extreme. The doctor told me that she didn't know why the wound had become infected, but she would do everything she could to help me. I tried to stay calm and tried to endure the pain. In the hospital room, I saw my favorite daughter and husband. I tried to stay strong, but the pain made it hard to stay calm. I could feel my body gradually stop working, as if life was slipping away. Suddenly, I felt a violent dizziness, and it was as if I was floating out of bed. I could feel myself leaving my body as if I were floating in a place filled with soft light. I felt a warmth envelop me, and I seemed to enter a beautiful and peaceful world. In just a moment, all my pain disappeared. I instantly felt much more relaxed. I saw the doctors were busy operating the ventilator, and the nurses were anxiously communicating on the side. Suddenly, I felt the presence of someone beside me. I looked up and was surprised to find a figure standing there. She brought me comfort and warmth. Her form seemed to be made of soft light. Her face was pure and dignified, and her smile was full of love and warmth, as if it were a gentle ray of sunlight that illuminated my heart. She was wearing a soft robe. There was a pair of white wings on her back, and they radiated a shimmering light. She radiated a soft, bright light that filled the entire space. This light enveloped me in a loving embrace. Her presence made me feel not alone. I knew this was my guardian angel. In that moment, all the pain and anxiety seemed to disappear and my soul was liberated. I no longer felt alone and afraid because I knew my angel was by my side and she gave me strength and comfort. In that moment, I felt the beauty and wonder of life. Although I did not fully understand it, I was sure that love was the bridge between life and death. I posed a question to that angel: "Is my mom here too?" Her answer was yes, I could meet my mom if I wanted to. I knew that this was an incredible opportunity, yet I did not make an immediate decision. In this space, surrounded by light, I felt a serenity that I cannot put into words. The feeling was somewhat similar to what I experience when I go to church, but here it was infinitely amplified. It was as if I was in a realm beyond reality, feeling endless love and peace. Suddenly, I was pulled by invisible forces back into my body again. I struggled to open my eyes, and I felt the pain once more. My husband was sitting by my bedside, and I knew that I had not left this world. However, as soon as I closed my eyes again, I was able to return to my angel and feel her warmth and love. Over the next 2 days, I traveled back and forth between the two worlds. When I was with the angel, I was surprised to find that the outline of my body was surrounded by a golden glow. The light was not static, but flowing. I was connected to the angelic light. In this state, I felt intimately connected to the universe and I was intertwined with everything. I asked the angels many questions, and I longed to learn more about the mysteries of life. I asked the angel, "What is our purpose here on earth?" Her answer said to discover unconditional love within and then offer it to others. We are all on this path. The difference between us is how well we know love. No path is better or more important. We are all growing and changing. This response made me realize that love is our common goal and mission, regardless of our experiences and backgrounds. Everyone's growth is unique. I went on to ask the angels, "Can I come back to Earth?" The angel replied to me that it is up to you. You will have several opportunities in your life to choose to stay on Earth or go home. I began to think hard about my answer. I felt the connection between myself and the angels. I felt very sad to leave this wonderful place. I suddenly thought of my child. I knew she had been through a lot and losing her mother would be too much for her to bear. I realized that I couldn't be a selfish person. I knew that one day I would come to this beautiful place again and meet the angels again. I realized my responsibility and that I couldn't let my daughter suffer more hurt. I looked at the angels around me. Eventually, I made a decision and I chose to continue to live on Earth. I needed to be there for my daughter, to give her love and support. This was my responsibility as a mother, and I could not run away from it because of my personal desires. Even though my conversation with the angels was brief, I understood the meaning and value of life and the responsibility I needed to take on. The moment I made my choice, I was pulled back into the real world by a force. I began to feel my body, the beating of my heart, and my surroundings. I struggled to open my eyes as the scene around me became clearer. I saw the white walls of the hospital and heard the hum of medical equipment. I tried to move my fingers and feel my body. Gradually, as time passed, I began to regain control of my body. I saw the doctor standing there. The doctor told me that my appendix had burst suddenly 2 days ago, causing a serious infection. Fortunately, the antibiotics I had taken earlier had played a key role in stopping the infection from spreading throughout my body. If I hadn't been in such a good health condition, it would probably have ended differently. This experience has made me appreciate life even more. I know that I chose to stay on Earth to be there for the people I love and to continue to grow and fight in this world. This experience made me more determined to face life and bravely meet the challenges ahead. After my recovery, I left the hospital. My life had changed. This unforgettable experience gave me a whole new perspective on my life. I began to live each day as if it were my last, cherishing every moment. The trivial things that used to bother me no longer make me anxious. Instead of wasting time and energy on unimportant things, I am more focused on cherishing each special moment. I've also changed the way I see the world. I see that everyone is interconnected and that despite our different life experiences, we all share a common goal and destination. During my last physical, I shared my experience with my doctor. She told me that she believed my story and that they weren't sure I would survive. The experience was priceless. It taught me to appreciate every moment of my life and made me re-examine my values and attitude towards life. It made me more determined to move towards my goals. This experience has inspired me to live more meaningfully and to spread love and care to those around me.